And my parents told me when I was a fucking kid, and I told them they're crazy. They're like, hey, the older you get, you're going to, become a conservative and look at the government and be like, hey, you get out of my business. And I was just like, fuck you, dude. You don't know me. And here I am bitching to nobody. Welcome everyone to Saint Aubin Central. Dude, I genuinely I usually talk about things that like fire me up or I'm passionate about. And I don't even see myself as like a political commentator or anything because I'm dumb. I don't know. I'm a musician. I got tits. That's basically all I got. And even politics, politics aren't that interesting to me. It's more of a people study about how people kind of cherry pick their own opinions just to support their side or whatever. But the thing that gets me the most is like injustice. And I don't want to be I'm a musician. I like to talk about music and like other cultural events, but our government's so fucking stupid. I can't help but talk about it. Like it was that article. The Department of Defense failed its 5th audit.
Sounds about right.
Their 5th audit. Dude, let me read this article from The Hill so it's, not as much propaganda. Okay?
Yeah, kind of legit.
The Defense Department has failed its 5th ever audit, unable to account for more than half of its assets. But the effort is being viewed as a teachable moment. Get the fuck out of here, dude. According to its financial officer, after 1,600 auditors combed through DOD's $3.5 trillion in assets and $3.7 trillion in liabilities, officials found that the department couldn't account for more than 61% of its assets. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? The government can misplace. Oh, well, we don't really know where, what 61% of 7, let's just say, about $3 trillion. I don't know what happened. But yet you, Steve from Grand Rapids, Michigan, you have a Venmo transaction of $605. What are you doing? What are you hiding from us? If you don't pay your taxes, you're going to prison. I'm just sick and tired of this bullshit, rules for thee and not for me. This is why the Boston Tea Party happened. People were just fed up with the big guy bullying the little people. It boils my blood so much. And my parents told me when I was a fucking kid, and I told them they're crazy. They're like, hey, the older you get, you're gonna, become a conservative and look at the government and be like, hey, you get out of my business. And I was just like, fuck you, dude. You don't know me. And here I am bitching to nobody about how the government, all they do is tell me what to do, and then they don't do what they're supposed to do, dude. Red wave's coming, baby, I'm kidding.
I need to get you a baby aspirin.
Maybe, dude. It makes me so mad. Whether it's a government doing it or a corporation doing it or an HOA doing it, dude.
Ew.
I have problems with unchecked power. If you want to know my politics, my political affiliations, it has everything to do with unchecked power. And that's from the Department of Defense, from, corporations, like Amazon breaking up people trying to unionize so they don't have to shit in a bag. Or churches, dude. Pastors and priests diddling kids and little girls, but it's okay because they're sent from God. God's not telling you to diddle a little boy's booty hole, okay? Jeez, dude. I can't. What are we doing? And
I don't know.
I'm telling you, dude. It's the government. They're so stupid. And then they think Like, January 6th happens where people are just fed up with everything. And they're like, oh, I can't believe that they did that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, maybe it's because they don't trust you. Maybe it's because the last wars we've been to in the last 60 years were all based on a lie. Maybe it's because all these banks took advantage of like lower class and middle class people and they got kicked out of their house and then you bailed them out. Maybe that's what they're fed up with, It's just like, and then they pretend, we pretend like the government pretends like, oh, I can't believe this happened. 9/11 happens. Oh my gosh, they attacked us on soil because you're blowing up fucking Middle Eastern people in the name of, God and country, whatever. But what you really want is that military-industrial contract, and what you really want is like cheaper oil prices, dude. I'm just saying, like, information is passing, it is spreading as fast as it's ever been, and like sooner or later, people are just going to be fed up. And, whether they, form their own party, I don't know what they will do. Like they'll protest, dude. They'll just like, we're not doing anything. Like imagine if millions and millions of Americans were just like, I'm not paying my taxes until you guys start getting things like in order.
Yeah,
the government
we're
would
done.
probably, like, oh my gosh, this there was a gas leak in these 12 cities around the world. What happened? Oops, I don't know. I just unchecked power, dude. It drives me insane, and I'm just like, I'm done with it because I'm self-employed. I'm gonna have to pay my taxes, and I hate that there's a threat. If I don't pay my taxes, I go to jail. But if politicians or whatever, the Department of Defense fails their audits and money disappears.
It's a teaching moment.
Yeah, it's a teachable moment for us. Well, what about me? Maybe that's a teachable moment. It's crazy. The last time, I'm sure it's happened before, but I think it was like $1 or $2 trillion went missing from like a government budget. Do you know what happened that same day?
Toys R Us shut down.
9/11.
Oh.
Oops. Little sleight of hand, maybe. Jeez, dude. Like, I don't know. It drives me insane. And I just wish. But you know what's gonna happen? It's like this is what would happen if people started asking some questions. Like, what is this? What is this bullshit here? Like, are you kidding me? They're just oops. Another document's leaked about. Them trying to Republicans trying to get rid of gay marriage, and then people are going to lose their minds about gay marriage, but not focus on like the real problems, dude. It's just, man, I just get going so much.
There's some tinfoil around here too. We can just,
dude, it ain't tinfoil, dude. That's what they want you to say. Like, that's how you want to discredit somebody. You just be like, oh, you a conspiracy theorist? Boom, discredited because people are sheep.
Boom,
dude.
got him.
Boom,
easy,
got him. Tough acting, tenacted, dude. I don't know, dude. It's just does that not bother you, or are you just one of those people just like, just as long as you leave me alone, I'm
literally
fine.
I'm like, they have to be knocking on my door for me to give a fuck. I'm just like, okay. I'm the worst with politics.
But it's just like, I don't know, man. It really upsets me, But who cares? Nobody cares. And it's like this is the thing that really bothers me. It's like we can't do anything to change it.
No, that's the thing. I'm just
and this is the greatest joke of all time. Well, vote in 4 years. Hey, what happened today? In 4 years, we're gonna have an election. Your voice matters. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
I only vote just because of the social pressure. Because if I mention 100%. I don't vote, people get mad at you.
They get mad.
But I don't vote because I believe in it.
Like part of me, it's just like I'm like, this is where like I almost wonder if like voting is like the biggest scam in the world. Like they pretend like it's like your voice, it counts, but in reality, it's just like I can't do any like with all the inflation that's going on. Like this is the first time in history like where like economic policy has affected my life. Like granted, there's people who have it way worse than me, like 100%, but like everything's gone up. Our budget's gone up by like 15, 20%, you know? Like, I think they say, like, before 2020, I think you need to make like 10 to 20 grand more to like live within the same means. And it's just like, this is the first time in history where it's like, hey man, this is like affecting me and somebody needs to do something. But then they're like, well, in 2 years you can vote. Oh, so I got to sit and wait and watch you fuck everything up for 2 years?
Yeah, this whole secret Trump presidential power thing, like he needs to get back in the
He needs to
limelight.
rise again,
I
you
know
know?
he's just hiding in the shadows, puppet Joe, you know.
That's my favorite thing when people are like, he's still president. I'm like, so he's...
I know.
It's
so
his
he's
fault
inflating
because,
everything?
like, yeah. It's insane. But, yeah, dude, like, I don't see an end in sight with inflation. Like, nothing. We keep sending, like, billions of dollars to, like, all these other countries. And it's like, hey, man, I'm all about helping other people who are in need. But when your own house is in disorder, like, take care of your own shit so you can take care of other people better.
I'm pretty sure we can just print more money. Like, I think
You're
it
not
actually
wrong.
will fix something.
You're not wrong. I mean,
we just need more money. Just print it.
Yeah, like, what do we... Yeah.
What's it gonna hurt?
The entire world is like backed by the U.S. dollar.
Yeah.
Just print a couple more.
It should be fine. I'm not saying like a lot, but like maybe a couple extra $50 here and there.
Yeah, like
circulate the economy.
Let's print money. You know, there's no consequences of that in the future. We're not gonna have to pay for it in the future.
No.
I don't know, dude.
We lose $1 trillion, we print $1 trillion.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know, sometimes like when Andrew Tate talks about the U.S. and how much of a scam, I'm like, look at this bald bitch, you know. And then, but he's just like, at least in Romania, like everyone's equal. I can like, you don't have to be a billionaire to pay off somebody. You can just be a normal person. I'm like,
everyone has a sedan in Romania.
Like, yo, dude, that dude's got a point, man. Jeez.
Boy, what else is happening?
I mean, we're screwed, dude. I mean, like, when we were on vacation, my my iPhone broke.
I'm so sorry.
We barely survived. You know, like
we
barely survived.
Skin of our teeth.
It is unreal how much our world is dependent on our phones.
Now I could talk about that.
From banking to even simple things like maps. Like we were in Mexico. My phone broke. How do we get to where we need to go?
You can't.
You know?
You're dead.
I can't read the map. I don't speak Spanish. You know? Their numbers are different over there. And what El Northo? Like, I don't know. Yeah. But thankfully, it was just like one highway. It was just like straight on. But if we were in like rural Mexico, dude, we would have been fucked. We were just like, well, looks like we're here for the rest of our lives. Better learn the language.
That's how people migrated.
I'm gonna get good at making a tamale, dude. Like, but people are so, if they lose their phone, we are so dependent on our phones, dude.
Yeah.
We are so fucked. We can't
toast.
And this is the thing about city people that really annoys me. They think we're so independent, and you know, I'm neighbors with a guy from Africa, so I understand their struggle. You know, it's like they pretend like they have it all together, but you remove their phone, dude. In 3 days, the city will burn to the ground. Like 3 days. Well, meanwhile, in the country, dude, they're fine. They don't even have phones, dude. They don't even know how to work a phone. They can field dress a hog. You know, and I'm like, I don't know how do I go left or right. My phone didn't tell me. But yeah, we didn't have our phone for 3 days. It was also kind of nice because there's almost like this crutch and like dependence of a phone of like just like you want this safety, but you kind of like took your phone was out of the equation and you kind of just like unplugged from like the Matrix for a minute. You're just like, oh man, that's what people's faces look like? Oh my gosh, dude. This is insane. But dude, it was wild. And I was just like, oh my gosh, dude, we are so dependent on these things. If anything were to happen.
Dude, all of that, even just electronic devices in general.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
you
dude.
think about, I was reading something about like there's a huge blackout in New York State. I forget how many years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. That like the really big one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like just a thought because one power plant had issues. Just to think that like so many people like we have hundreds of electronic devices in our homes
Oh,
now.
yeah.
It's just a thought of like the power plant has one problem and we're out. We're done. Like
Dude, yeah, it's like
it's
if
so
the-
scary to think
if
how
the-
fragile it is.
If the internet goes out,
Yeah, stuff like
half
that.
of the population is gone.
Yep.
Let alone the power grid. If the power shut off in my house, I don't even know how to build a fire. You know, I'll just like, I'll be taking sticks and I'll just be like, please help me, dear God. You know, but like it is very scary how fragile the whole system. I remember reading something about our agriculture, like our food supply, and I think most of our food supply there's like grain. There's like 3 major places where grain comes from. All it takes is for some like lunatic to poison a couple of those, wipes out half the population.
Yep.
It's scary, dude.
There's also something about like for I was reading, but most farmers are like in their 60s now or 50s and 60s. So it's like another 20 years, and it's like we don't have enough people to like back up the same amount of farmers we do now. Like
Yeah, and that's where I hope automation takes over because like, you know, too many people want to be YouTubers and TikTokers, you know, me included. I'm like, if it's between me giving up my dream or me farming a field, half the world's dying because I'm not giving up on my dream.
Isn't that a little wild about our generation? Is like I think about the risk of like going into the army. Like I was so nervous about a draft when I was a kid because I remember like reading about Vietnam and stuff.
That weren't a big deal.
Yeah, it's like my parents, like you know, I think my dad had to deal with like Vietnam. He might have been just a little too young, but like just the thought. I remember being a kid and hearing about World War II in the draft. Like, yep, he's got to go. Like Elvis went, you know, it's just like.
Yep.
And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, when I turned 18, like we might have a war and I might just have to go. And now we got plenty of drones. I don't have to worry about
Well, that's
that.
like the John Mulaney bit. He's just like, remember what things that you thought would have been a bigger deal as an adult? He's like, quicksand.
Yeah. It was like quicksand in
but
the
like,
draft.
Yeah,
like,
in the draft, dude. Like draft dodgers. They were like, which is so interesting that like they were like demonized back in the day.
I would dodge in a heartbeat.
But then you like look at like just like what we know now about Vietnam. It's just like, yeah, well maybe.
I'd poke my own eye out. I would do.
Oh yeah, my grandpa, he during I think it was World War II, he failed his like medical tests because he had such bad eyesight.
Dang.
And he was just like, praise the Lord, dude. He didn't believe. That was when he started believing in God again, you know. But
yeah, like if the government was like, "Hey, we need more farmers. You're gonna be a farmer now." Who knows?
Well, that's like, that's one of the. It's one of the scary things about like being in a quote unquote free society of just like you can do whatever you want, but then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, we don't have enough. Yeah. Like that's like one good thing about China, is like hey, we're gonna make you do this, and if you don't, we're gonna put you and your entire family in prison. Yeah, of course you have a choice. You can make a choice, But I'm optimistic that like automation, at least for the States, will happen. But have you read, dude? You want to read a book that's a mind fuck? Do you like geopolitics or like world?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. It's called The End of the World is Just the Beginning. This guy named Peter Zeihan wrote it, and it's dark, like, and he just spits facts. But he's essentially World War II. The U.S. becomes a superpower of the world, and we're like, hey, our money will back everybody, and we have a navy, so we can start trade and shit all around. Now the U.S. is like slowly pulling that back, and the world is so dependent on like globally, like grain, oil, like the most basic things that run a society is like once the U.S. completely pulls out of like guarding everybody, there are countries that will cease to exist. There's going to be like mass starvation on like a crazy scale. He talks about like China. He was like something like conservatively China will lose, a few 100 million people. from starvation. And I was like, holy shit,
Whoa.
man. Like,
Oof.
jeez.
The
But
whole
it's just-
thing. It's
but
fragile.
Exactly. It is. The entire thing's super, super fragile. But it's scary to think. Like, and it like I'm grateful to live in the United States, you know, because we put minorities in their place. Huh? No, it's like he lays out the
You slipped that one in.
no, like he basically is like he's like the U.S. is in a pretty good spot, mostly because of our geography. Like we have in all the Midwest, most of our country has 4 seasons, and like you need 4 seasons to have healthy soil. So like we have a ton of farmland. We have plenty of food. You know, I think we produce a surplus of food every single year, and even within that, like we have rivers that if you know oil or whatever happened, like we can go back to boats. Like that's how the U.S. got to where they were, because they use rivers that like just happen to flow in the right direction to like bring stuff back and forth. So the U.S. will be fine. The rest of the world's fucked, dude.
And we have professional wrestling.
We have professional wrestling,
And
dude.
the NFL.
Yeah, we have professional wrestling. You know, we have OnlyFans is an American company.
We're
God bless
bulletproof,
America.
yeah.
Mia Khalifa, you know, like, but yeah, it's like I don't know that book, dude. And I remember I was reading it, and I was just like, Ian, I can't wait for him to round it out. Nope, he didn't round it out.
Round it out.
Like, this is the silver lining
Yeah.
in the book. He's basically like, well, we're about to enter an unprecedented time, so I might be wrong about some things. That's it. And I'm just like, damn, dude. You know?
It's like everything else, so 100%.
But when he's just like, yeah, like China could lose like hundreds of millions of people due to starvation. I'm just like, and like you don't think about that stuff because we're so progressed in technology. Is that how you say it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
We're so like far advanced with technology that we don't even think about like how important oil is or how important grain is. If we don't have grain,
We can't get
we're
no bread.
fucked. You know, we can't get no bread.
It is. I think it's like 40% of the world is on the internet now, like,
Yeah.
which is wild to think about.
Oh, 100%.
Like almost half of the population basically has access to the rest of the world's information, which is it's crazy to think about. And just it goes hand in hand with like also the population growth. Like we're hitting 8 billion, I think, this week or next month or something like that. But it's wild to think we hit our first billion like only a couple hundred years ago. Population.
Well, dude, like I've read a lot that we're actually like population's a problem in terms of we may not have enough people.
Not enough people.
Yeah, certain parts of of the world they need more people to like
Interesting.
from an economic standpoint. So like this is something that I don't necessarily think about. And I think again in this book, The End of the World is Just the Beginning, China has a shit ton of people, but because of their they were super harsh on like you can only have one kid. All like the majority of their population is about to step into retirement. And then the scales get unbalanced when you have more people in retirement as opposed to like laborers.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like they're not like retired, they're not really contributing; they're just consuming. So like that's something like economically, I would have never thought about.
That makes sense, though.
You know, and I think we're doing fine right now because the boomers had so many kids. Because millennials, I believe, are the biggest generation of like people. But I mean, one thing that could be concerned, like a lot of millennials getting married later and later in life, you know. So it's like it's one of those things where you have to kind of pay attention to it because there's some countries, I think China, and I also want to say Japan, and they're like in trouble because if you don't like that's just something you don't think about it.
No.
What if you don't have enough workers to support the economy? You know? Not even like they don't want to do the work, but like you just don't have enough people to support.
You just start shipping off old
No,
people
you
homes.
open up the borders, dude.
You just-
You're like, hey, Mexico, come on, free pass, Japan's going to have to open up their borders. They ain't going to like that.
I'd just
They're
say free
purists.
moon trips, and then just accidents happen on the way up.
Why moon trips, dude? Cruise ships, dude, to the Bermuda Triangle, experience something you've never experienced before. Death, But yeah, I think like population, and I think at least, again, it's people in cities. We're surrounded by people all the time. Like if imagine you're in New York and I was like, yeah, we're actually running out of people. They're like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people. I'm like, why don't you get your head out of your ass and like look at the entire world instead of your one block,
My block's perfect.
Yeah, I know. My neighbor's Iranian. I know the struggles of man, But that book is super. If you're really into that stuff, I couldn't highly recommend a book more than The End of the World's Just Beginning. It's pretty dark. It's dark. If you're in the U.S., like there's some like struggles coming, but it's mostly for poor people. Unfortunately.
Okay, thank God that doesn't apply to me.
I'm about to beat it with this inflation, dude. Let's go, Joe Byron. Joe Byron, do something. Damn, dude.
We need to drill for more oil in Canada.
Why not, dude?
We need to invade Canada. That's my platform.
Let's do it. Bunch of pussies, dude. Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Dude, do you remember those truckers? They were like,
Oh, man.
hey, we're done with this. And then they threw horrible terms at them. And then all the dumb people were just like, yeah, they're bad. I'm like, why? They told me they were bad,
Yeah, we need more Canadian
Can't we
truckers.
like drill in, isn't there like a shit ton of oil in Alaska?
Yeah. I think we get most of our oil from Canada.
Well, and also too, like, didn't they shut down like the Keystone Pipeline?
Something like that. Yeah.
And
sounds right.
that was like really like polarizing or something. I'm like, well, then why don't we just go to Alaska? Nobody lives there. So what if we kill a couple polar bears? Like they're drinking Coca-Cola anyways. Like let's just do a trade. We'll give them a shit ton of Coca-Cola.
They need to get out of there
and then
anyway.
we
It's
can
cold.
get some oil. You know?
Move them. It's too cold up there for those bears.
I can't even begin to understand like oil.
I feel like there's not that much left. I look at how many cars go through a gas station every day, and I'm like, how is there
No, there's
this
a
much?
lot because I think
We got to be just swimming in it then.
the oil. I mean, oh yeah, like
Texas tea.
If you go to like Saudi Arabia, like it's like hundreds and thousands of acres of just like oil.
I forget how
fields.
big the Earth is. Like
The Earth's huge, dude.
it's
we
a
live
gigantic thing.
It takes you 15 minutes to walk the entire city of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Now try to walk the entire fucking world, dude. Have you been to Montana?
Yes.
Driving through Montana, it's like there's nothing there. And people are like, we're running out of space. I'm like, no, you've just never moved out of your fucking liberal ass city, dude.
I know.
Go to Montana. We got plenty of space there, dude. Go to South Dakota. We took all of the land from the natives. Like, we got plenty of land out there.
No, we got to move people to the moon, though. That's the move.
Would you go?
Would I go?
If like when Elon's like, hey, we need colonizers. And we need some people.
If he wanted like an 80-year-old that had like zero fucks, that'd be me. Yeah.
I
wouldn't do it
genuinely
now.
if like Hillary died
Yeah.
and most of my family died
If I had nothing to lose.
and I'd probably call you up like, hey man, you want to go?
Yeah.
You'd be like, let's go.
Honestly, if I had like if there's no family to take care of, if I didn't really care, I would
Even
go.
if I had like one kid, I'd be like, he's fine. He's 30, like
Kind of a
he'll
piece
be
of
okay.
shit.
Like I would go, but this is the problem. Like I wouldn't be invited because they're like, hey, we need certain skills. I'm like, hey, I can make jokes. I can sing songs, and they're like, yeah, we need a structural engineer. I'm like, you also need to laugh.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what movie was that freaked me out? It was a Gerard Butler movie.
Children of Men.
Greenfield.
Oh.
Greenfield. It was like a meteor was coming to the Earth, and it was gonna wipe out the planet or a bunch of people on Earth. And he got like selected. There was like a select group of people that were invited to this bunker to like save the world because he was a structural engineer who like worked in New York or something like that. And like he was needed. I'm not needed. You're not needed.
I'm a communications major. Yeah, step out of the way.
I'm a liberal. I have a liberal arts degree, sir. Like people like us aren't needed.
No.
Like I would absolutely go.
I know my place
to the moon or to Mars and try to help out, but I'm like, man, I might be able to dig a hole. You know, like I'm not making.
I'm good at following instructions.
Like what's The Martian when Matt Damon's there and he gets stranded? I would be fucked, dude. I'm like,
no way.
Like he makes water.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
he like collects vapor out of the
water
air.
Just there?
Just run the tap a little bit.
He actually took two hydrogen molecules and an oxygen molecule and made water. And I'm just like, isn't it just there? Like I'd just be like, go to the spaceship. Where's water? That bitch made
just
water.
Just buy more water. It's not hard.
Yeah. So I would absolutely go to Mars if they need some fun. If they want like a good time, I could be the jester, dude. Just like
you'd be the diversity hire too.
Oh yeah,
you have that.
Because Elon cares about that. He doesn't give two shits. Somebody was just like, because everybody's always upset about something. He was like, "Why don't you hire people from different countries for SpaceX? How could you not do that?" And he's just like, "Well, it's actually illegal for people for space companies United States space companies to hire people from a different country. So why don't you talk to the U.S. government, I would go. I think it would be fun. And like, what a way to die.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Float on
Why not?
Forever.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe my body gets preserved and they find me and like 2,000 years later, the aliens like probing me and I'm like, oh, they're like, and I'm like, what happened?
You'd be in a living museum for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Just talk to a man back in 2022.
That sounds nice. How was the world? I'm like, well, it's kind of nice. He had iPhones. They're like, what's an iPhone? You can like make calls or like look stuff up. You're like, oh, so primitive. We just think that and it happens. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, geez. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. I had a fun time. Thank you for letting me rant. Thanks to my 8 listeners. Shout out. It's fun for me. I hope it's fun for you. But yeah, have a good week. Keep your pin pan strong, everybody. See ya.